All right, so this lesson here is going to be on basic constructions. So constructions are going to be when we make certain geometric shapes without necessarily measuring them out to a certain spot, but we're going to use our protractor and our compass to make them be that way based off of our steps that we take. So you're going to need these two for this lesson. So if you don't have those at home, you'll have to get one when you come back to school here. But we're going to do those. We're going to use those. So what are the measurements of an acute, right, obtuse, and straight angle? And my marker just broke. How about that for learning on the fly? So let's use this one here. They can still be in blue today. So acute. Acute angles are going to be from 0 up to 90. Right angle is going to be exactly 90. Obtuse will go from 90 degrees up to 180. And then lastly, straight angle is going to be 180 degrees. So those are our angles. So we're going to make congruent segments. Starting off with our first construction. So with this first construction, and I'm going to take these off here, but we're going to start off by, we're going to need a segment. So typically the book, like if we're doing a homework problem or something on the quiz or test, you'll have a segment there to begin with. So we're going to draw one in. We're going to make it about 1 inch long, and we're going to have one side be A, the other side is going to be B. So we need to start with the segment. We're going to copy that segment. So what we need to start with is we're going to have a ray. Now our ray is going to be bigger than what our segment is here. One side with the arrow, the other side will be at point C. So from here, we're going to take our compass now, and we're going to put our metal point on A, our pencil point here on B, and then we move it with that same measurement, move the metal to C, and we're going to draw a little arc. So if I make that a little darker, this is the mark we've made. So where that mark is, that's going to be our point D. So from C to D and A to B are going to be the same, so we can put a little tick mark, as those are congruent segments. Next, we're going to construct congruent angles. So we're going to start with an angle. Again, we would normally have our own angle here. But for this, we're going to end up drawing it in just to start off with. So if we draw up here and make an angle, again, we're going to go about 1 inch, make a mark. And for this, we're just going to make an acute angle, although you could do it with any angle. And we're going to call this angle A. Right? So, from here we're going to construct another ray with our protractor here. We're going to be at least 1 inch. We're going to make that a little bit bigger. And this ray is going to be point S here. So, grab your compass. What we're going to do is this. We're going to put metal point here on A, and we're going to shorten this up so that if we would turn it, we'd be able to hit both. And we're going to draw an arc so that we do hit both. It looks like that. So if I darken it, this is the ray, not the ray, the arc that we just drew. So with that same measure, so just drew this arc in, we're going to move down here to S, and we're going to draw a nice big, about 1/4 turn of an arc. If I can hold on to my pencil. So draw it enough to where we're about 1/4 turn, and if you got to rotate your pencil or your paper like that to help you with the arc, go for that. But we want a nice big arc. So with that, we're still going to take our compass And this time we're going to put our metal point on the one part where the arc intersects on our original angle, and pencil point then where our arc intersects that other side. So we can take it, move it down here to our point, and we're going to draw the little arc as such. So where that intersects then, we can draw in the other side of our angle. So there would be a point right there. We can line this up, and we would draw through. And so our top angle A and our bottom angle S are going to be congruent. So we have congruent angles there. So that's all these steps are just describing what's going on. So there, as you see, perpendicular lines. This is something we haven't talked about yet in class, but perpendicular lines are going to be two lines that intersect to form right angles. So typically we're going to use our symbol of an upside down T, which is just meaning is perpendicular to. So we're going to be dealing with some perpendicular lines here. More importantly, we're going to be dealing with a perpendicular bisector. So perpendicular means we're going to cross at 90. Bisector means we're going to cut it in half. So it's going to be a line, a segment, or another ray that's going to be perpendicular to the segment at the midpoint, thereby bisecting the segment into two congruent segments. So cutting through a 90-degree angle, splitting it in half. So we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector. Again, normally we would have a segment drawn, but for this case we don't. So we're going to draw in a segment that's about, actually let's make this one about 2 inches. So a little bit of a bigger segment here. But we're going to make something that's going to cut through, and so we're going to call this endpoint A, this other endpoint B. So, after we have our line, here we're going to take our compass, put it on A. Let's slide it over just a little bit. So put it on A. We need to make sure our other one's going to be at least halfway. If halfway somewhere in here, we want to be past it. We want this side to be shorter than our other side. And then we're going to draw a nice big arc. And if you need to rotate your paper, go for it. So, nice big arc. From the other side then, with that same angle measure, we're going to move to B. And we're going to draw another big arc. So it kind of crosses through like that. From there, where these touch, so that'll be a point up there. This will be a point down here. And then we can draw our line through that. And we can call this one X and this one here Y. So therefore, we have our 90-degree, our perpendicular cutting through, and it's a bisector. So this will be congruent to this one over here. So there we go. Perpendicular bisector. Now, we're also going to get into angle bisectors. So the angle bisector is going to be a ray that's going to divide this angle into two congruent coplanar angles. So the endpoint is going to be at the angle vertex, and that ray is also going to contain a segment that has the same endpoints, so that the segment or the ray bisects the angle. So what that's saying is, if we have an angle, we're going to have a ray that's cutting through the middle that's going to split into two congruent angles. All right. Now, we're going to have also some problems like this where we can find some measures using that. So if we know Kn bisects JKL, so if I have, and I'm just going to draw it not so nicely, but if we have an angle here, this here would be K, this would be J, and this down here will be L. So we're going to have one that's cutting through the middle here that we're going to have, let's say, is N. So we know JKN, the top one, is going to be 5x minus 25. And we know the bottom one then is going to be 3x plus 5. So if we know it's an angle bisector, we know we're splitting into two equal angles. So if the angles are equal, we can set their measures equal to each other. So we're going to have 5x minus 25 equal to 3x plus 5. Now we solve it just like an algebra problem. Get your x's on one side, numbers on the other. So we'd subtract the 3x to the other side. We would add the 25 over to the other side. So 5 and 25 make 30. 5x minus 3x to be 2x. So when you divide by 2, x is then going to equal 15. And I'm off the page, sorry. So then it says solve for x. So we did that part, but then it also says find the measure of angle JKN. So JKN is going to be the 5x minus 25. So 5 times our x, which is 15, minus 25. 5 times 15 is 75. 75 minus 25 leaves us with 50 degrees. So that's how you would solve those problems. Think bisects just like if we had a midpoint. We know it's split into 2 equal parts, so it set each part equal to each other. And then we solve. So lastly, we're going to construct an angle bisector now. So we're going to draw an angle over here. We're going to make it another acute. Just make the lines at least an inch. I'll open it up just a little bit here. So we're a little bigger acute angle. So again, these directions are going to show you or tell you how to do this, but I'm going to show you here. So you're going to start by taking your compass, put your metal point on A, and we're going to shorten it up so that we hit both sides. So we're going to draw that arc, hitting both sides there. Then we're going to take our compass, our protractor, our compass, wow. Metal point on the one intersection, and we're going to shorten this up so at least it hits, or we're at least halfway. And then we're going to draw an arc more so that goes out than in. So it's going to look something like that. With that same measure, come around and put the metal point there on the other line where it's crossing. And we can make that little tick mark where we're going to cross. And that point is going to be our point. Well, first we're going to call this one up here B. And then we're going to call this one down here C. But this point here is going to be X. So we can take our straight edge and go through our 2 points here. And so this bottom angle is going to be congruent to our top angle. And that's it. That is the lesson. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you later.